In Australia, it's technically illegal to create and share memes. In Australia, it's technically illegal to create and share memes. The country has strict copyright rules and laws when it comes to this shareable content. According to the Australian website News, Section 132A Part 2 of the Copyright Act says, distributing an infringing article that prejudicially affects the copyright owner is against the law. This technically makes posting memes online against the law. The Australian Digital Alliance and Wikipedia are campaigning to have the law updated so that people can share, copy, or create work as long as they aren't taking profit away from the content's owners. Creating and sharing memes like the one above violate copyright laws in Australia. Know your meme. Overweight employees equal fines for companies in Japan. A Japanese national law from 2008 makes companies and local governments measure their employees' waistlines if they're between the ages of 40 and 74 years old. According to the New York Times, if you exceed the government mandated limits, you will be given dieting guidance and the companies and government organizations could suffer financial penalties. This law was created to help shrink the overweight population of the country and encourage people to live a healthy lifestyle. Japanese employees are constantly weighed and measured to determine how healthy employees are. Toby Otter via Flickr. The role of employers and local government was to ensure there was a minimum of 65% participation, with a goal to decrease Japan's obesity rates by 25% by 2015, and failure to meet these goals results in a fine. However, this has erroneously been taken to mean that the Metabo law makes obesity illegal. Don't use all of your pennies in Canada. Canadians aren't allowed to use more than 25 pennies in one transaction, according to the CBC. This was step one of phasing out the coin, a move that started in 2013. The government claims the change is in an effort to help the general economy and be less taxing on the environment. Why don't we use pennies anymore in Canada? The Canadian penny is being withdrawn from circulation because production costs have exceeded its monetary value. The Royal Canadian Mint will no longer distribute the coin to financial institutions around the country, but it will remain legal tender. In 2012, Canada's Economic Action Plan included a cleanup of its currency production, specifically, phasing out the penny. Why go after the noble penny, we all wondered. Well, it turns out that by stopping its production, masturbation is not allowed in Indonesia and Saudi Arabia. An Old English anti-masturbation treatise from the 18th century. Wikimedia Commons. Masturbation is illegal in a few places around the world and can lead to fines and jail time. In Indonesia, a quick Google search will lead you to believe the punishment for masturbation is decapitation, but that's not true. The max prison sentence is actually 32 months. According to The Guardian. And in Saudi Arabia, a teacher was sentenced to 3 years in prison and received 300 lashes for proclaiming that masturbation is allowed under Islam. Horses. A formal query made to the Secretary of Information at the Indonesian Embassy reveals that according to Article 281 of national law, the maximum sentence is 32 months imprisonment. Crying is the dropping of tears, or welling of tears in the eyes, in response to an emotional state, or pain. Emotions that can lead to crying include sadness, anger, and even happiness. You need to carry an ID with you. In lots of European countries you must have something to ID yourself with at all times. In a bunch of European countries including Germany, Hungary, Belgium, the Netherlands, Austria, and Spain, according to a FAR. Even if you aren't a resident, this rule may still apply to you. So make sure you keep your passport handy. Keeping some form of photo ID is required in a number of countries. Thomson Reuters. There are restrictions on how much noise you can make and when in certain parts of Australia. Victoria. A state in Australia restricts loud noises during certain times of day, specifically at night when a person's neighbors are likely asleep. And if you want to vacuum on Good Friday, sorry, it's not allowed. You can read the full breakdown of noise restrictions here. Many shouldn't be used here because the noun noise is uncountable. Your first sentence is correct. Always use much with the noun noise. Noise is unwanted sound considered unpleasant, loud or disruptive to hearing. From a physics standpoint, there is no distinction between noise and desired sound, as both are vibrations through a medium, such as air or water. The difference arises when the brain receives and perceives. The Swedes don't allow spanking or advertising to children. In Sweden, spanking is illegal not just in schools, but at home as well. The country was the first in the world to vote on prohibiting spanking in 1979, but not the last. 30 more countries so far have followed Sweden's lead. On a similar note, Sweden wants to protect its children from advertisers. The country has TV ban on ads since the 90s directed at children under the age of 12. Specifically, an ad can't run directly before or after a children's show comes on. Advertisements directed at children aren't allowed in Sweden. Sweden was the first of 24 countries to introduce a ban on smacking children in 1979. At the time, traditionalists said it would lead to unruly kids, and other critics say the ban would be largely unenforceable. Certain baby names are banned in Denmark, Iceland, and Portugal. Certain countries around the world all have specific rules in place to protect the names of their children. A Portuguese law, for instance, restricts names that raise questions about the sex of the registrant. People in Portugal can actually look at a government-approved list of baby names that are mostly traditional and clearly state which sex their baby must be for the name to be appropriate. In Denmark, their law on personal names exists to protect children from names that can affect them psychologically. According to the Huffington Post, you can petition to have a different name approved rather than choosing a gender-specific one from this list. This, however, isn't easily done. Iceland's controversial rule is eerily similar but also requires parents to give their kids at least one, no more than 3, forenames. New names are consistently added to the official list. Baby names are highly regulated in some countries to prevent children from being ridiculed. Anonymous blogs with over 3,000 daily visitors are banned in Russian. Bloggers with a big viewership have to register with the government or face fines. 2014 regulations that passed in Russia required blogs with over 3,000 daily visitors to register as a media outlet and disclose personal data, according to the Washington Post. Users are also banned from using Russian obscenities and can be fined between $280 to $1,400.